All right, let's do this daily chart. S&P 500. S&P 500. Yeah, really small day here. 52 in range, but small in difference between open and close. Almost a doji. Opened up at 57, 41 3/4. And it hasn't closed officially here. But we're sitting at a right about 6 points, 5 or 6 points above the open. So super tight day far as where it started and where it ended. We have elections tomorrow. I mean, there's been a lot of early voting. I think record early voting across the United States. Of course, in Democrat-controlled areas, there's already been a bunch of cheating that's been discovered. So, can the election impact the stock market? Yeah, it probably will, but I don't think it'll. Excuse me, eating a pineapple here. I don't think it'll impact it indefinitely, right? I think it might have an impact for a little bit, but the overall cycles and pressure that's on the market is gonna prevail. And what do I mean by that? Look at this right here. So there might be a bounce right here. I don't think it'll be sustained, and I think it'll come back down. That's how things happen. Sure, the election might have a temporary impact on what this market does. You might get something like that. Comes down, chops around, goes up, and then back down. How far down, I can't say. Maybe it happens over here instead. Gets up here, does this for a while, does that. Well, we'll have to see how this all plays out. But yeah, elections will have probably an influence on the market, but I just think that's short-term influence, not long-term influence. Unless we get, well, at least regarding the rest of this year or the next month or two. Now, super long-term, yeah, there's a huge difference in ideologies between Kamala T and Donald Trump. You know, Donald Trump is small federal government, close the border. He's all about America first, whereas Kamala's exactly opposite. She's a globalist. She's about open borders. These are two completely different ideologies, right? So those things will have an impact on the economics in America, for sure. But, that's a topic for a different day. It's not necessarily going to influence the market in such a big way, like in the absolute immediate future. All right, so that's my take on the S&P 500. I do think this is going to continue to go down. That's where I think this is headed this way. Even if we get a bounce, whatever. Okay, I think this momentum is going to be really hard to stop. And you can see what happened over here, right? Once it gets going like that, starts getting wide, it's really hard to stop momentum. Okay, this one, it crossed over and crossed back over. All right, but you can tell by the length of this this gap, it's different in nature than this one, yeah? So this has a very similar look to that. And that's why I say I think regardless of what happens in the elections, this is probably going to go south, and we're going to see some price decline somewhere over here or over there, okay? Significant price decline. I think we'll get below 56.69. That's probably going to happen. And then if it gets below that, 5,400 is very possible. All right, let's do the trade of the day, and then we'll get on to the rest of the products. See what's happening here on the intraday charts. We'll turn on the Get Us Plus indicator. Let's do that. So what do we got here? Pretty choppy day all the way through like pre-market. Then it got kind of busy as far as range. Yeah, just wow. There's just one trade here that just absolutely stands out above all the other trades. And it was an easy trade to make too. This happens a lot. This 5-minute chart. 5-minute chart right here. Time was this? 9:45 this morning. Pretty easy trade to make. Especially when you get about right here. When you get about right there, guys, which is approximately about 10.15. Okay, why is that such a great, easy trade to make? You can see that the SMI was slowly losing momentum here. It crosses over, which is somewhere in this area, and you're making your trade. Bam. So this signal, really good. Even if you entered like right away, still would have been fine. You would have had to wait for a little bit of chop, and then huge opportunity. So we're looking at, even conservatively, you're looking at 57.60 down to, let's say we just take it right in here, right? 57.35. So 25 points. Let's see, sorry, 30, 25 points. So 25 points, we just cut it in half, we get 12 and a half, so 12 and a half. Okay, add a zero. $1,250 for one E-mini contract. Really nice day. Nothing wrong with that. Huge trade of the day right there. Let's look at the 15-minute chart real quick. Is there anything special on this chart? Talk about it all the time. You want to be looking at multiple time frames. This is not a bad signal either right here. A little bit harder. 5-minute chart's better. And that's why I say, you look at multiple time frames, you'll usually find which chart's giving you the best opportunity. This one's harder. So I would not have traded here on the 15-minute chart. It's doable because momentum is negative. But, yeah, not exactly the same trade. All right, so that's it. That was my take on the daily chart. I think we're going to see the market drop regardless of who becomes president. And I think we'll see it get below 56.69 pretty easily, actually. All right, that's it for the S&P 500. Let's move on to the rest of the other products. All right, let's take a look at gold. We're going to go right into gold. We'll do things a little bit differently here today. Go through all the products, maybe in a slightly different order. Yep, gold struggling here a little bit of pullback going on. But my goodness, and gold is so strong. You know, look at the SMI. Look at this momentum. I think gold, unless it begins to really show some serious weakness, I think it's going to get down here and bounce again. You know, this cycle over here could have an influence on it, start having an influence on it and pushing it down. Get down to 2650, 2700, whatever. It could get down into this area, maybe even 2550, whatever. But we'll be watching carefully what this does once this SMI gets to the bottom. My instincts tell me it's down here and it's going to bounce. This is just still so bullish. So, would I trade gold right now? No, I wouldn't touch it. I just think it's a little bit of a wait and see on gold. Let's look at silver. Pulling back a little bit more than gold. Right down to the cycle low, October 31st, which was a few days ago. Got some more work to do here before it finds a bottom. Also very bullish, but not quite as bullish as gold. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, I wouldn't touch silver or gold right now. Just kind of it's a little bit of a wait and see to see what do they do once the SMI gets to the bottom. Are they going to re-engage and go up again? Because I think that's probably what's going to happen, but I'm not sure. All right, let's look at crude oil. Crude oil ripping. Not a little bit of a ripper here. But really, if you think about it, it had a massive gap down. Now it's trying to recover just to get back to 72, let's call it. Well, I'm a little surprised it's this strong. So this is a little stronger than I thought it would be. We'll see if it gets back up to 74. 76 would be that would be really strong if it gets to 76. I don't think it's going to do it. I think it's going to get up here, maybe 74, and then start taking a dive. But we'll see. It's a little stronger than I anticipated, and it looks like it wants to try to cross over, even though it's still in negative momentum. Okay. All right, let's kind of swing back over to the Dow Jones Transportation, and we'll start hitting those other products. Okay, so obviously we got an issue here with this cycle. November 12th, so things are moving around here. Interesting. Yeah. So something changed there on the cycles. I'm not sure these cycles are actually valid right now. Big old cycles. I don't really like what I'm seeing in these cycles. This big cycle. I guess it's valid. I'll look at this again later. This cycle here just doesn't look right to me. I'm going to take this cycle out of here. These little cycles look like they're okay. That can go away. Okay, so October 27th, we passed that. December 10th is the next one down. It doesn't look super bullish here to me. It looks like it's kind of struggling. Let's say 10th or 12th, can't remember. Let's take a look one more time. Yeah, December 10th. Let's make these yellow. Get to pop a little bit here. Turn this to yellow so we can see it a little better. Yeah, it doesn't look super strong here. Kind of struggling. A lot of long-legged candlesticks. Not a sign of strength. Kind of choppy going on here. It is positive momentum, but to me, it's like it's really having a hard time kind of chopping here. So transportation looks kind of like just sideways chop going on. Let's look at Russell 2000. Wow. Okay. Not a good look. Not a good look. Looks like it wants to do that. Momentum is really struggling to stay positive. I think this is going to go negative momentum. We're going to see a pretty significant pullback in Russell 2000. Unless elections and the Federal Reserve and all that, they do some crazy stuff. Look, sounds like the Federal Reserve may do another cut to the lending rate, which is going to do absolutely nothing for anybody. Yes, it might make borrowing money a little bit cheaper. So, okay, it might help some corporations to borrow money cheaper, but guess what? That isn't going to save the United States. That's just all baloney. Good luck with that. If Congress and the President of the United States, who that is, if they don't address this national debt in a real hurry and stop the bleeding, I don't care what the Federal Reserve does. And I don't care anybody out there in YouTube land or any other social media or MSNBC or CNN or Charles Schwab or whoever experts. I don't care what anybody says. This nation is in for a huge collapse if they don't address the national debt. And folks, I don't think they're going to. I don't think there's anything that they're willing to do. They're not willing to put in the work, and Americans are not willing to pay the price for their mishandling of monetary policy. I think they're going to renege on their debt, and that could very well start wars. Okay, we might see a one world currency too come out of all this. I said it before, I'll say it again. I believe the United States will have a massive economic collapse within the next 10 years because of the national debt. All right. And if Kamala gets in there, expect crime rate to go through the ceiling and Americans will be forced to defend themselves. And I'm not saying this because I'm a fearmonger, but I think there's a decent chance you'll see blood in the streets and in the fields of America if she becomes president. And yeah, I don't like it any more than anybody else, but there it is. I'm saying it. Americans will be forced to defend themselves. Mark my words, if she becomes president and that border stays open, it's going to get real, and it's going to get real fast. All right, let's move on to the NDX. Yeah, not a good look. It looks like the Russell 2000. This is doing this. This wants to go negative. Again, only if elections and the Federal Reserve have enough to save the day. I don't think they do. I think the pressure of the cycles is going to win the day, even if we get a temporary little bounce. Okay, let's look at the SPX. Same story here. This does not look good at all for the SPX. It looks like this wants to go negative. This is, look at this. I mean, it's the same thing, guys. This is really hard to stop this kind of momentum. Yeah, you get this temporary bounce. Momentum like might pause and then continue. It's going to be hard to stop this. It's hard to stop momentum when it gets like this. It's hard to stop cycles. So we'll see what happens. I don't get caught up in what's happening on a particular day or 2 day period. I look more long term and look at what's happening cyclically. And this is not a good look for the stock market. All right, let's go take a look at, we already looked at gold and silver and crude oil. So we're going to jump over to the Japanese market, NKD. Actually, believe it or not, stronger than all the American indices. Yep, Japanese market is stronger. Look at this. It's, you know, it's fighting to stay positive. We'll see if it makes it through this November 11th cycle low. Probably won't. This might go negative, but of all the indices, this one's the strongest one. Who would have thunk it? Japanese yen. Trying to find that bottom. I'm not convinced that it has. And I think this damage is so severe. But then again, I thought this was going to go on forever and a day. I thought that was going to keep on going. It did not. So a lot of work to do to get this to be positive momentum. A lot of work. So most likely up here, fail again. So up, fail. Something like that is probably what I think is going to happen. Okay, let's go look at the euro dollar futures. What's happening with the euro dollar? Okay. It's found the bottom. It's coming up. Again, it has crossed over. So this is ahead of the Japanese yen. It's already crossed over here. Wow. Yep, looks like it wants to maybe go up a little bit, get a little bit more. Very interesting. I don't like it as a long, but interesting to keep an eye on this. My instincts tell me it's not going to be enough and it's going to fail. It's going to try and fail. It's probably the most likely scenario right there. Just the momentum is so negative, it's hard to overcome all that negative momentum, at least immediately. British pound, not a good look. Struggling, just struggling. Struggling, probably that. November 14th, about 10 days away. Yeah, I think it's going to pull back again. Trying to find a bottom isn't doing a very good job of it yet. And you got to remember, this is a damaged cycle. Look at this. This is just damaged. It's already well below this point over here in the previous cycle. That is a negative cycle, and it happened very early. Right? It didn't kind of go like this, up, and then halfway through it began to fall. No. It fell immediately, come out into this new cycle. So the British pound, that's a lot of these currencies, other than the US dollar, they're getting absolutely ripped. Getting hammered, I should say. It's not ripped, hammered. All right. Let's see. We did them bumping bong. Let's look at corn. Wow, corn. I'll tell you what you can do with corn. You can trade the SMI. Why? Because momentum is flatlined. Just trade the SMI. In other words, I think you can go long here on corn. Small position long looks good to me. Okay? That's my take on corn. Watch out for this cycle over here. It's going to eventually have an impact on this. But just for the next day or two, yes, I think corn on a small position long is okay. Let's look at XLP, which has been getting crushed. Trying to find a bottom. Look at this nastiness. Oy, oy, oy. Not going to do it. Oh, bang, fail, right? Let's see. November 25th. You know, I don't know what this is over here. Let me go back. Let me go check something here. Let's get rid of this nonsense. I don't know what that is. Get out of there. Wow. XLP, not a good look. I think it's in trouble. Trying to find a bottom. boy, even if it gets a bounce here, I don't think it's going to be a very strong bounce. It's amazing how things can change from positive momentum to huge negative momentum swings. Okay, become a member, $7.99. You get the S&P 500 live streaming charts, the 5-minute to 15-minute to 1 hour with the 1 hour cycles, which is really nice. Get a nightly email Monday through Thursday with 5 different charts. I always put my opinion about what I think the market's going to do the next day in those emails. On the Discord server, you get access to the Discord server and premium channels, and on there are alerts. So if you want alerts for S&P 500 or gold, just go to those channels, right-click on those channels, turn notifications on. That's how it works, and you'll get alerted on your Discord app. Okay, I think that pretty much covers it. Elections here in the United States of America tomorrow, at least the way I think it should be, is you walk in and you frickin' vote, not all this Dropbox nonsense and this mail-ins. Okay, mail-ins I could see for military and maybe a few exceptions. But my take on all this is the national elections here in the United States are very corrupt. I think Democrats and even some rhino areas, but mostly Democrats, they totally abuse the election cycle. They break the laws. There's election fraud. Is already many cases of it during this election cycle. What happened back in 2020 where the election was stolen, there wasn't anything done. Nobody went to jail for that stuff. The only people that went to jail were the conservatives, because how dare they stand up to the Marxist left, right? So everybody that broke the law and stole the election, not a one of them went to prison. They're all just still walking around. So why am I mentioning that? Because they're emboldened, right? They know they can steal the election. They did it 4 years ago. Why wouldn't they do it again? And I guarantee they're going to do everything in their power to steal this election and get Kamala into the White House. They absolutely positively are not going to play by the rules. They never do. To them, breaking the laws, whatever. It's just part and parcel of what they do. Rules for thee and not for me. That's how the left operates. Want to finish up with a story that I saw coming out of Massachusetts. There was an elderly man and woman. I think they were pro-Israel and probably Jewish. And they were on a sidewalk kind of doing the pro-Israel protest, peaceful stuff. They're an old couple. They're not like, attacking people or anything. And there was a guy across the street that was pro-Hamas, basically, pro-Palestinian, whatever Palestinians are. And he was yelling at them and all this stuff. Anyways, one thing led to another, and a guy runs across the street. This is a young guy, maybe like in his 30s. I think he initially attacks the woman, and she's probably in her 60s, maybe 70 years old, so he's attacking old people. Attacks a woman. The husband comes to his wife's, I think it was his wife's rescue, standing right next to her. He attacks the man too. The man's in former military, retired military. And he draws his pistol, I think, out of concealment and shoots the guy in the belly or the gut. So this guy physically assaults them. And you already know where I'm going with this, right? What did the DA in Massachusetts do? Not the Attorney General, but the DA of that area. What do you think he did? Do you think he charged the 30-year-old, approximately 30-year-old, whatever guy for running across the street and physically assaulting these old people? No. You know where this is headed, right? Nope. He charges the old man for defending himself with some BS, bogus, you misused your firearm, blah, blah, blah. You violated this guy's constitutional rights. That's the shit. Excuse my language, but that is the shit that's going on with the Marxist left and the areas they control. Literally charging this old man for defending himself against a violent criminal. And I'm telling you right now, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's why I've been telling everybody, I'm not just saying this to be a fearmonger. If Kamala T gets into the White House and they keep that border open, which they probably will, be prepared for blood in the streets, because I think Americans are going to be forced, especially in the South, where the laws are in favor of Americans defending themselves. I think it's going to get bloody. I think Americans are going to have no choice. I work at a place where we sell a bunch of different products, but we also sell firearms. And I had a young lady come into the store, and she was maybe like 30 years old at the most, and she had 3 little kids, and she lived in a town nearby, and she said, what do I need to do to buy a firearm? I'm concerned about the elections. Guys, this is Texas, and of course we do things differently here, but that epitomized what Americans' view is of what's happening in the United States. The left would have you believe that a young woman with 3 children would never buy a firearm because she doesn't fit the stereotype that they want. But I'm here to tell you, Americans don't follow that bullcrap. And they're wise enough to know that there's something doesn't smell right. Okay? If I can have a single woman with single mother come into my shop, right? And she has 3 kids and she wants to buy a firearm, guess what? She knows the jig is up, man. She knows something's not right. And get ready. Because if they steal this election, which I think there's a really good possibility that they are going to pull out all the stops, you watch what happens down there in Fulton County. They're going to take days to count those ballots, guys. There was a truck, I forget where this was. It might have been in Georgia, but I can't remember where it was. They made it illegal to watch drop boxes. No lie. They literally made it illegal for people to stop and watch drop boxes to watch for fraud. Yeah, wow. So they couldn't watch to see if there was fraud because that became illegal to actually watch if there was fraud. These people are so freaking ridiculous. So there was I think it was a lady, she parked in a parking lot like a little ways away from the drop boxes. She's like, I'm going to watch it anyway. I don't care what these people say. And she video cammed it from like a distance on her phone, I think. They literally watched 5 huge trucks come with ballots. Yeah. Illegal ballots on 5 huge trucks in these drop boxes. Yeah, okay. Folks, they're going to steal this election. If Kamala gets into the White House, it's because they stole it. And I think the odds are very good she'll steal it. The only way I see Donald Trump getting back into the White House, and he may be able to pull it off, that's if Americans just like overwhelmingly vote in his favor, that the vote is so huge for him that they just have, they just can't overcome the results. That's like the only way he's going to pull this off. Because if Americans don't overwhelmingly vote for Trump, she's getting back into the White House as president, or whatever you want to call her, puppet. That's it. Talk to you all real soon again next time.